My child, sit down and allow every sense of haste to grow still. For a great turning point is drawing near, powerful enough to divide your journey into two distinct realms, the days before your renewal and the days after you enter the season that has been prepared for you. I do not want you to receive these words with only part of your attention, while your hands remain occupied and your mind continues chasing countless sounds. Find a quiet place, breathe deeply, and allow your heart to be fully present. What is unfolding is not a minor adjustment upon the surface, nor a passing burst of inspiration that will soon disappear. It is a profound shift touching the way you see yourself, the way you choose your path, and the way you receive the good things you were once afraid to embrace. You may not yet see the complete form of this transformation, but I know that you have sensed its footsteps for a long time, for many weeks, perhaps even many months. You have lived with a feeling that has been difficult to explain. Everything outwardly appeared to continue as usual, yet something deep within you was no longer as still as before. There were mornings when you awakened with an unnamed prompting, as though something were calling you away from your former rhythm of life. There were nights when you lay quietly and still felt a subtle movement surrounding you. You could not mark it upon a calendar, nor did you know how to explain it so that others might understand, because it was not an event that had already occurred. It was the anticipation of something taking shape. It was like the atmosphere changing before rain begins, when the earth and sky have not yet trembled, but every living creature already senses that a new wind is approaching. You once called this feeling anxiety, but look more carefully. Beneath the uneasiness, there is also expectation. A gentle voice telling you that you cannot continue living in the old way forever. I am using that very stirring to awaken you, not so that you will fear the future, but so that you may prepare to receive it with awareness. You have become accustomed to being cautious whenever something changes, because many transitions in your past brought loss with them. Each time, you began to believe that everything had finally become stable. Something else fell apart. Whenever you opened your heart to hope, you feared that another pain was waiting behind it. Those experiences taught you to protect yourself by refusing to rejoice too soon, expecting very little, and always preparing for the worst. I understand why you became guarded. I do not condemn you for building those layers of protection. But, beloved child, not every change comes to take something away. Some changes are sent to restore what you lost, lead you out of confinement, and open a wider sky before your eyes. The recent disturbances are the first signs of that work. Perhaps certain relationships have become distant without your understanding why. Conversations that once felt familiar no longer bring the same sense of connection. Some plans you held for a long time have unexpectedly lost their attraction, while things you once overlooked have begun drawing your heart. An old chapter is closing, even though you are still trying to hold it open. A door is shutting, even though you once believed you had to walk through it at any cost. You look upon these things and assume that life is becoming chaotic. But I see a new order being established. I am moving what no longer belongs, not to leave you empty, but to create the space necessary for something new to be placed within your life. Imagine a room filled with possessions gathered over many years. Some things were once useful, but now do nothing except occupy space. Others are connected to memories, making them difficult to release, even though they are covered in dust and preventing the light from entering. Before that room can welcome a new presence, everything must be moved. cleaned, and rearranged. During that process, the space may appear more disordered than before. But the disorder is not evidence of destruction. It is the work of preparation. Your life is similar at this moment. The things being moved out of position are not necessarily being taken from you forever. Some are simply being returned to their proper places. Certain people are moving away so that you may learn to stand firmly. Some plans are dissolving so that you no longer pour your strength into a road that has become too small for your calling. Therefore, do not hastily mourn every ending as though it were failure. Some doors close because you have grown beyond the room behind them. Some connections become loose because they were suited only to an earlier version of you. Certain desires no longer burn brightly because your heart has begun recognizing a deeper purpose. I know that releasing is not easy. Even when something is no longer good for you, its familiarity can still create a sense of safety. But you cannot hold tightly to what has completed its purpose while also opening your arms to receive what is greater. Complete preparation always requires empty space. And at first, that space may make you feel lonely. Yet, do not confuse temporary emptiness with abandonment. In the very place where it appears that nothing remains, new foundations are being constructed. I want you to hear clearly that this transformation is not repeating the pattern of your former wounds. You are not entering an old circle, merely dressed in new clothing. What I am leading you toward carries maturity, peace, and the ability to make different choices. In the past, you often received everything through a heart afraid of loss. So, even blessings made you anxious. You feared that happiness would not last, that good people would eventually leave, and that opportunities would arrive only to disappoint you again. But this time, I am healing the way you receive. I am teaching you that you do not need to run from what is good simply because something harmful once caused you pain. You are permitted to rejoice without immediately searching for danger. You are permitted to hope without apologizing. You are permitted to believe that a peaceful season may truly belong to you. What you once asked for may be coming in a form far greater than you imagined. You asked for a door, but I am preparing an entire road. You asked to escape one circumstance, but I am not merely pulling you out. I am also building discernment within you so that you will not return to the place that drained you. You asked for an opportunity, but that opportunity will carry responsibility, maturity, and choices requiring you to release your former way of living. Therefore, when something great appears, do not look only at its beauty. Recognize that you are also being called to become someone stable enough to preserve it. A lasting blessing requires hands that know how to value it, a heart not blinded by pride, and a life disciplined enough not to lose what has been entrusted. At this very moment, tell yourself that you are ready to receive goodness without avoiding it. Such readiness does not need to be loud, nor does it need to be proven before a crowd. It may begin with a quiet prayer, a decision to release something, or a practical action you have delayed. Rearrange your living space. Complete an unfinished task. Step away from a habit that weighs heavily upon your mind, or establish a boundary against what repeatedly steals your peace. Every small action of this kind is a way of cooperating with the new order being established. You cannot control when every door will open, but you can prepare yourself to become someone who will not run away when they do. My child, do not resist the sound of things being moved within your life. I am rearranging, purifying, and expanding the space around you. What appears chaotic today will become tomorrow's clarity. The endings that grieve you will eventually reveal how they protected you. The silent spaces that confuse you will become the places where you hear new direction. Remain still a little longer and allow your heart to understand that not every wind announces destruction. Some winds come to sweep dust from the windows so that light may enter more clearly. The turning point approaching you is not intended to erase who you are, but to release the version of you that has been refined through every difficult season. When you are ready, rise, not with the posture of someone bracing for another loss, but with the open hands of one who knows that something great is being placed in its proper position within their life. Your name has been spoken in the heavenly places, not to terrify you, but to awaken you before hesitation carries you farther away from the path of peace prepared for you. I come to you with the urgency of a protector, yet also with the compassion reserved for a child who has been weary for far too long. Messengers of light are sent not only to soothe pain, but also to remind you that there are moments when comfort alone is not enough. You must awaken, rise, and return to the calling you have repeatedly set aside. The door has not yet closed, and the opportunity still stands before you. But you must not continue treating mercy as permission to delay. Breathe deeply and allow every noise within you to become still. For what I am saying today is not intended to make you panic. It has come to keep you from moving too close to a boundary from which returning would later require great pain. I know that your silence did not begin with rebellion. It began with busy days, accumulating responsibilities, and worries continually competing for your attention. You told yourself that once the work was complete, the family was stable, and your mind was less troubled. You would make time to return to stillness. But one day followed another, and that promise was pushed farther away. You continued believing and longing for guidance. Yet, you allowed immediate demands to overpower what nourished the deepest part within you. At first, this silence appeared harmless, but over time, it created distance. You no longer recognized the gentle reminder, and you could no longer distinguish what came from peace from what was born of fear. Therefore, I can no longer remain far away and call softly. I must touch your attention more strongly, because your future is shaped by what you choose to listen to today. There are people and circumstances competing for your peace as though they have the right to possess it. Each person pulls you in a different direction, and every problem demands an immediate solution. Until you begin to believe that your value depends upon always being available to meet every need. But beloved child, you were not created to live like a lamp divided among so many rooms that the very place where you stand is left in darkness. You must return to sacred stillness, where you are not required to prove anything, explain yourself to anyone, or immediately discover every answer. It is there that you will recognize which burden must be released, which responsibility must remain, and which door should no longer be entered. If you do not create space for guidance, noise will soon become your guide. And noise always leads you around in circles until you are exhausted. I also want you to understand that the enemy of light does not need to defeat you in a single moment. It only needs to cause you to drift little by little. It plants the thought that one day without prayer does not matter. That one decision contradicting your peace is insignificant, or that one small compromise will produce no consequences. But large fractures usually begin with very thin lines. Prolonged hesitation causes you to lose sensitivity, while repeatedly ignoring what is right makes what is wrong begin to feel familiar. You do not need to live in obsession, fearing that darkness is watching every step you take. I desire only that you remain alert, because a heart that returns frequently will not be easily led away by lies. When you remain near the source of light, you recognize falsehood before it has the opportunity to take root. You have been given a distinct value, but this does not mean that you are greater than others. It means that you carry a responsibility to live truthfully with the gift entrusted to you. There are words you must speak, people you must strengthen, and roads only you can walk through the experience you have received. Yet if you continue hiding within delay, the things that were meant to be healed through your presence will have to wait longer. Your choices do not affect you alone. A father who returns to peace can transform the atmosphere of an entire family. A mother who remains steadfast in faith can help her children stop living in fear. A young person courageous enough to leave an old cycle may open a road for the generations that follow. Therefore, I am calling you back, not to punish you, but because what you carry is too precious to remain covered in the dust of hesitation. Remember Jonah, who received an assignment but attempted to travel in the opposite direction. He did not run away because he was entirely evil. He fled because he was afraid, resentful, and unwilling to face what had been entrusted to him. But avoidance did not bring him peace. The road he chose only caused greater disorder, and the people around him were drawn into danger without understanding its cause. This does not mean that every difficulty is punishment or that every storm appears because you have done something wrong. I want you only to recognize that certain forms of chaos cannot be resolved by attempting to control even more. Sometimes, the answer is not to row harder, but to acknowledge honestly where you have moved away from the right direction. Perhaps you are also standing in the middle of such a storm. You have attempted to repair everything through your own strength, to keep every piece of life from falling from your hands, and to appear normal even though you have become empty within. You changed plans, sought advice, worked harder, and forced yourself to remain strong. Yet the uneasiness did not leave. Listen to me. Not every storm has been given to you so that you may fight until you collapse. Some storms appear as invitations to release what you were never given the power to control. Surrender is not failure. It is the moment when you stop believing that you must carry the whole sky and agree to be guided one step at a time. When you lay down pride, fear, and the need to know every result in advance, you will begin to see a path of peace opening in the midst of what once appeared chaotic. I am not asking you to change your entire life in one night. Begin by returning to an honest conversation. Do not search for elaborate words. Say exactly what you feel. Admit that you are tired, afraid, avoidant, or that you have allowed noise to occupy too much space for too long. Then listen, instead of immediately rising and walking away. The first thing you receive may not be a great answer. It may simply be a prompting to apologize to someone, close a door, rest at the proper time, or complete a responsibility you have delayed. Do not despise small directions. A genuine return is always demonstrated through practical steps, not merely through emotional feelings in a single moment. You must also learn to protect your quiet spaces. Not every call must be answered immediately. Not every request is a command. And not every argument deserves to take away your peace. Establish boundaries with kindness. Leave places that continually draw you away from what is good. Reduce the voices that make you doubt your value and spend more time with the things that help you live clearly, truthfully, and responsibly. When you preserve inner space, guidance will no longer be hidden. You will gradually understand that the urgency I bring today is not a threat, but the voice of love, unwilling to watch you continue sleeping near the edge of danger. Therefore, do not keep running. Return where you are, without hiding and without waiting until you feel more worthy. The door remains open because mercy has never taken its eyes from you. Yet walk through it with seriousness, because the time you have been given is not meant for continued delay, but for choosing your direction again. The storm is not your identity. Drifting is not your destiny. And the times you ignored the call are not your final conclusion. I am here to lead you back into clarity, remind you that you can begin again, and stand beside you as you take the first step. Stop trying to survive through your own strength. Surrender what you cannot control. Repair what you know must be repaired. And allow peace to lead you out of disorder. This is not condemnation. It is the bell of mercy sounding at the right moment so that you may awaken and return. The divine provision prepared for you is not merely the filling of financial shortages. It is the moment when your entire life is restored to a new order. When my hand touches your journey, I do not look only at the numbers in your account, the bills waiting to be paid, or your immediate needs. I see every hidden realm of your life, relationships that have grown weary, health that needs support, direction that became unclear, dreams that were postponed, and the peace you lost amid many years of worry. I have not come to repair one tear temporarily and then allow you to return to the same cycle. I have come to restore the foundation, so that what was unstable may become secure, what was dry may begin to multiply, and what once frightened you may no longer govern your mind. Understand that difficult seasons did not mean you were forgotten. The days when you had to consider every expense, the times when you denied yourself a legitimate need because you feared there would not be enough, and the moments when you wondered whether your entire life would always revolve around survival taught you the value of wisdom, gratitude, and the ability to preserve what has been entrusted. I do not glorify scarcity, nor do I want you to view suffering as something that must continue in order to prove your faith. Yet I can use those roads to teach you the difference between need and desire, appearance and genuine value, possessing much and managing well. You are no longer someone merely asking for a door to open. You are being prepared to walk through that door with enough maturity not to lose yourself when blessing arrives. The abundance I want to lead you into is not an invitation to pursue wealth at any cost. It is freedom from the constant fear that you will never have enough. You may have become accustomed to living in a state of vigilance, always thinking about the next crisis, unexpected expense, or loss. Even when a measure of stability appeared, you did not dare breathe deeply because you feared it would last only a short time. I want to heal the way you understand provision. Being provided for does not mean that you never have to plan, work, or take responsibility. It means you no longer live as though everything depends solely upon your strength. You will continue planting, learning, and working diligently, but you will no longer be driven by panic. You will act from peace, not from the fear of being left behind. Imagine a life in which you can look upon your obligations without feeling unable to breathe. This will not necessarily happen because every burden disappears overnight, but because you have a plan, discernment, and the appropriate resources to move forward step by step. Imagine no longer being forced to choose between caring for yourself and fulfilling your responsibilities, and no longer abandoning every dream merely to prevent tomorrow from collapsing. I want to expand your vision beyond simply having enough to survive. True provision also includes the ability to build, share, invest in what possesses meaning, and become a source of strength for others without exhausting yourself. Yet, such abundance requires an aligned heart, because great resources placed in unprepared hands can become a burden rather than a blessing. Therefore, before expanding the resources around you, I am also expanding your ability to manage what is within you. I am teaching you to say no to choices that weaken your future merely to satisfy a temporary feeling. I am helping you recognize the difference between generosity and allowing others to exploit you. I am reminding you that trust does not eliminate discipline and that prayer does not replace wisdom. Some doors will open because you prepared carefully. Certain opportunities will appear because you persisted in refining your abilities during the days when no one was watching. New connections will come because you learned to remain honest, trustworthy, and humble. When all these things meet at the proper time, you will call it a miracle, but you will also recognize that the miracle was constructed through many small acts of faithfulness. Do not limit provision to one form. Sometimes I provide through money arriving at the right time, but at other times through an idea that enables you to create lasting value. Sometimes I send a mentor, a trustworthy partner, or a conversation that helps you see a path you had never considered. At times, provision comes through a door closing, preventing you from entering an agreement that appears attractive but would take more than it gives. Sometimes it appears as improved health that allows you to work with joy, reconciliation within the family so that your home no longer consumes all your energy, or clarity that helps you stop pouring time into an unsuitable road. When you look only for money, you may overlook much of the assistance already being placed around you. I also want you to release the belief that every good thing must come through relentless labor. Diligence is necessary, but draining yourself completely is not evidence of nobility. If you must continually sacrifice sleep, health, relationships, and peace merely to maintain your rhythm of life, then you need to examine your direction instead of simply trying harder. Divine alignment gives focus to your effort. It helps you do the right thing instead of attempting everything. Meet the right people instead of trying to convince everyone, and invest at the proper time instead of chasing every opportunity. You do not need to force every door open through your own strength. Some doors will open naturally when you are in the right position, carrying the right character, and prepared to accept the responsibility that accompanies the opportunity. As you enter the new season, the first change may not be the amount of money you possess, but the way you respond to money. You will notice that you no longer panic whenever an unexpected expense appears. You will begin looking at reality with awareness instead of avoiding it. You will know how to divide the problem into smaller parts. Seek solutions, ask for counsel, and adjust your plans. This peace does not come from controlling every event, but from knowing that you have not been abandoned in the midst of them. A peaceful mind can see opportunities that a panicked mind cannot perceive. When fear weakens, creativity returns. when shame no longer covers you. You become able to learn. When you stop comparing yourself, you begin building according to the rhythm suited to your own journey. Remember Joseph, who was judged according to his lowly circumstances, even though he carried the ability of a leader within him. Those surrounding him saw only someone who had been brought down, while heaven saw the governing ability required to preserve an entire region through crisis. It is the same with you. Do not allow the label of a difficult season to become your permanent identity. The fact that you once experienced scarcity does not mean you were born to remain in scarcity forever. Previous financial mistakes do not mean you are incapable of learning wise management. Former rejection does not mean every door will remain closed. I see you beyond what is happening in the present. I see your potential when you are placed in the right environment, trained in the right way, and guided by a purpose greater than fear. The breakthrough you desire is not intended only to make your life more comfortable. It is also connected to the influence you will have. When you are no longer bound by anxiety over survival, you will possess more space to care, create, and serve. You will be able to support your family through stability rather than promises without foundations. You may create work, share knowledge, open a road for others, or help someone standing in the very place where you once stood. A legacy is not only material wealth left behind, it is also a way of living, a system of values, and a clearer road for the generations that follow. I do not give you more, merely so that you may build a larger storehouse for yourself. I am expanding your capacity so that you may become a healthy stream, knowing how to receive, preserve, and release at the proper time. Nevertheless, do not turn the promise of provision into a reason for passive waiting. Trusting me does not mean remaining still in delay and calling it faith. Do the work already within your hands. Reorganize your spending. Complete what you have begun. Develop your skills. Repay what you are able to repay. Search for opportunities with perseverance. And honestly confront old habits. Each of these actions prepares space for something new. When I see that you can remain faithful with what is small, I can entrust you with something greater without allowing it to destroy your peace. Lasting provision is always accompanied by lasting maturity. Therefore, stop looking at the future only through the lens of years of scarcity. What happened before does not possess the authority to determine everything that comes next. I am leading you away from a way of thinking concerned only with shrinking back in order to survive, and into a life that knows how to build with responsibility. You do not need to pursue abundance like someone desperate, nor do you need to feel ashamed for desiring a more stable life. Allow that desire to be purified so that it is no longer a need to prove your worth, but a longing to live usefully, freely, and generously. I am caring not only for your needs, but also for your ability, your vision, and what you will eventually give back to the world. Walk calmly, do what is right, and preserve a grateful heart. What you need will come in the proper way and at the proper time, so that when you receive it, you will not merely say that you have been provided for, but will also understand why that provision has been placed in your hands.